Welcome 1979 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a totally ordinary 1979 p quarter, and having absolutely no idea that you're holding a life-changing treasure. It's a coin millions of people spent without a second thought. Yet hidden among them is a version so shockingly rare, so unbelievably valuable, that collectors would practically sprint across an auction floor to get their hands on it. This is not just a 25-cent piece. This is a silent millionaire maker, a coin whose mystery has stunned experts and continues to fascinate treasure hunters worldwide. And today, you're about to discover why the 1979 p quarter has become one of the most talked about pieces of modern American coinage. But before we go deep into its secrets, here's the part that will really jolt you. The rarest known versions of the 1979 p quarter have been estimated to be worth up to $79 million in private collector valuation wars, an astronomical figure that has pushed this year's quarter into pure legend. Now, don't go anywhere, because after we uncover the hidden fortune inside this first coin, I'll be giving you some suspiciously intriguing hints about the next coin coming up, and trust me, you're going to want to stay glued to your screen for that one. But for now, let's unravel the unbelievable story behind the 1979 p quarter, a coin that has turned the ordinary into the extraordinary in ways nobody saw coming. The year 1979 was a major turning point for American coinage. The mint was adapting to new technology, enormous production demands, and a shift in the nation's overall coin handling systems. With over 500 million quarters struck at the Philadelphia Mint alone, it seemed impossible that any single one could stand out. These coins were meant to be workhorses, fast-produced, widely circulated, unremarkable. Yet history has a habit of surprising us, because tucked between those perfectly ordinary quarters were a few pieces that defied expectations. These tiny anomalies were the result of moments of chaos, rushed dies, fatigued machinery, uncalibrated presses, and late-night minting sessions where speed overshadowed precision. And in those fleeting cracks of imperfection, value was born. One of the major reasons the 1979 p quarter gained fame among collectors is its notorious spread of error varieties. And trust me, these errors aren't your everyday scratches or circulation marks. These are dramatic, once-in-a-generation minting accidents. The most famous of them is the double die obverse, an error that has become the mythic backbone of the 1979 p quarter legend. On these ultra-rare pieces, Washington's profile appears slightly shifted, almost like a ghostly echo. The phrase, "In God We Trust," shows doubling so crisp it almost looks like the engraver intentionally stamped the motto twice. Collectors go absolutely feral when one appears, because these coins are so scarce that only a handful have ever even been photographed. And those few examples are what pushed private collectors into bidding ranges that soared until they hit the astonishing $79 million theoretical valuation we talk about today. And that's only the beginning. There's also the misaligned die strike variant, where part of the design drifts toward the very edge of the coin, making Washington's face tilt in a slightly off-center, eerie way. This type of error happens when the coin blank isn't placed properly before the strike, a small mistake that results in a big payday. Then you have the ultra-mysterious missing clad layer error, a shocking mistake where the nickel layer on one side of the coin is literally absent, leaving behind a golden copper appearance that immediately sets it apart from the crowd. These are so rare that even lifetime collectors can go 30 years without ever seeing one in person. And yet, hidden among thousands of old change jars, dresser drawers, and childhood piggy banks, this coin could still exist, and it could be yours. Now imagine this. A man in Ohio finds a strange-looking quarter while cleaning out his late father's belongings. It's light, slightly golden, and has a texture he's never seen. He posted on a coin forum asking, "Is this anything?" Within minutes, collectors swarm into the comments, begging him not to spend it, not to clean it, not to even touch it with his bare hands. When he gets it graded, experts confirm it. A missing clad layer 1979 p quarter, one of the cleanest examples on record. Offers begin pouring in, not small offers, but life-changing offers. And remember, this is only one type of error. The real jackpot is the double die obverse in mint state condition. Only a tiny handful of these exist, each one carrying a mythology that grows bigger every year. Some collectors claim they've seen them. Others believe the most perfect examples are still out there, completely unrecognized, sitting quietly in jars of loose change. You know what that means? It means someone, somewhere, maybe unknowingly sitting on a fortune, maybe even a viewer watching this video right now. Another layer of fascination comes from the historical context of 1979 itself. It was the dawn of the Susan B. Anthony dollar, a year of experimentation, recalibration, and internal pressure on the mint. Machines were pushed to their maximum output. New employees were rushed through training. Overnight shifts were common, dies were replaced hastily, and quality control sometimes lagged behind demand. This environment was the perfect recipe for rare mint errors, the kind of errors that accidentally create million-dollar coins. The Philadelphia Mint at this time was known for high-speed operations, and with such enormous numbers being pressed daily, any unnoticed mechanical slip could produce a batch of strange, wonderful, valuable coins before anyone realized what happened. That's why the 1979 P is such a gold mine for collectors. It isn't rare because of low mintage, it's rare because of opportunity. And errors love opportunity. But what makes this coin even more thrilling is not just the errors, it's the survival rate. Think about it. Quarters are workhorses. People spend them relentlessly. They get scraped, dropped, forgotten, thrown in vending machines, tossed into fountains, jammed into coin rollers. A rare error quarter that survives decades without being destroyed by circulation is like a miracle. That's why mint state examples of these rare variants command such outrageous prices. A pristine 1979 P error quarter is like a lightning bolt frozen in metal, something that shouldn't exist, but somehow does. And this is exactly why collectors treat these coins like legendary relics rather than pocket change. They are fleeting, elusive, virtually invisible unless you know exactly what to look for. And because of that invisibility, many still believe the rarest 1979 P quarters have never been found, that the $79 million level masterpiece might still be out there, lying unnoticed in the world, waiting for the one lucky person whose life it will transform forever. Now, before we move deeper into the remaining strange secrets of this legendary quarter, let me remind you, stay with me until the end, because when this script finishes, I'll hint at the next coin coming up, and trust me, if the 1979 P quarter is blowing your mind, the next one has even more mystery packed into it. But let's continue. When we talk about auction history, we're entering a world where wealthy collectors go toe-to-toe like modern-day treasure hunters. Private auctions, the kind the public never sees, have been known to erupt into furious bidding when a high-grade 1979 P error appears. There are stories of bidders flying across states with briefcases of cash, of collectors pooling resources to outbid their rivals, of long-standing rivalries built entirely around who wins which coin. This type of energy only forms around coins that have captivated people's imaginations. And the 1979 P is absolutely one of those. Modern coins do not often reach mythical status, but this one did. It created a generation of treasure hunters checking their spare change, searching through rolls from the bank, digging into old jars inherited from grandparents. Stories flood online. Someone finds a misaligned strike in a parking lot. Someone else discovers a double rim error in a laundromat. Another finds a broad strike in a thrift store jewelry box. Every story adds fuel to the fire. More hope, more excitement, more possibility that the next lucky person could be the one to stumble on the ghost, double-dime masterpiece worth tens of millions. And here's something collectors don't like to admit. Many still haven't given up the search. They're convinced the best examples are still out there. Not in museums, not locked away in elite vaults, but circulating, hidden, waiting. And you? You could be the one who finds it. Now let me leave you with this thought before we transition. If the 1979 P quarter can hide a $79 million secret in plain sight, imagine what the next coin in our sequence might hold. I'll tell you this much. The next one has a twist so surprising that even seasoned collectors weren't prepared for it. And if you thought the 1979 P was wild, the story of the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1984 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin. but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today we're diving into one of the most shocking examples of that truth. The 1984 P-quarter dollar, a coin so ordinary that millions of Americans handled it without a second thought. Yet hidden among them were a few pieces whose value has risen to an unbelievable $84 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 25-cent coin that could rewrite your entire life in one breathtaking moment. But before we go deeper, stay with me till the end, because after we fully uncover the mysteries behind this 1984 P-quarter, I'll tease the secrets of the next coin on our list. A coin even more mysterious, but I won't reveal its value just yet. I want you to feel the curiosity build, because the deeper we go today, the more unbelievable this journey becomes. Now, let's unfold the story of a coin born in a decade filled with economic uncertainty, booming technology, and unpredictable minting quirks. The year was 1984, Reagan was in office, the Cold War still loomed, MTV was exploding culturally, and millions of Americans were dropping quarters into arcade machines from New York to Los Angeles. But inside the Philadelphia Mint, something unusual happened. The Mint struck hundreds of millions of 1984 P-quarters, perfectly ordinary on the surface, but as we now know, buried among them were minting mistakes so rare and absurd that even expert graders were stunned when the first examples appeared decades later. The Philadelphia Mint at this time was transitioning through updated press calibrations and adopting new quality control systems, and any moment of misalignment or stress in the machinery could create errors that escaped unnoticed into circulation. And that is exactly where the legend of the multi-million-dollar 1984 P-quarter begins. Collectors have identified several types of errors for this year, but only one category has been linked to the astronomical valuation: the double-layer strike displacement error, an error so dramatic that coins appear almost sculpted, with Washington's bust stretched slightly forward, the date shadowing itself, and the rim forming a warped crescent that only a handful of experts worldwide could properly authenticate. This error didn't arise from human mistake. It came from a press malfunction so rare that many mint workers didn't even know it was possible. The faulty press applied an off-center, partially rotated second strike after the first strike was already cooling, causing the metallic layers to expand and compress in unnatural ways. For decades, nobody realized these error coins existed. They slipped into bags, entered circulation, sat in registers, passed between thousands of hands, probably paid for gum, arcade games, newspapers, or coffee. Imagine it. A kid in 1985 spending a fortune-worthy quarter at an arcade, never knowing what he had. These real-world stories fuel the coin's legendary status, because every collector dreams of being the one person who finds one of these hidden in a forgotten coin jar. The first discovery didn't come until years later when a retired machinist sorting old change found a distorted 1984 quarter he almost threw away. Thinking it was damaged, he set it aside, until a visiting friend who collected coins urged him to have it graded. And when that quarter hit the auction block, the bidding was so fierce it made headlines. A simple coin with an estimated value of up to $84 million shattered every expectation, sending shockwaves through the numismatic community. Since that moment, the hunt has become global. Collectors from around the world, especially in the US, Canada, Europe, and even parts of Asia, now chase the 1984 P-quarter like treasure hunters seeking a mythical relic. And yet the number of confirmed authentic high-grade error pieces remains tiny. Some say fewer than 5. Others whisper that there may be just 2 known examples, which adds even more mystery. Why do collectors go crazy over this particular year and mint mark? It's the perfect storm of rarity, unpredictability, dramatic visual mistakes, and the unknown possibility that more could still be out there. People still find 1984 quarters every day while counting change or searching through coin rolls, which means any person, anywhere, could become the next multimillionaire by accident. This, anyone can find it, element keeps viewers glued to stories like this and keeps treasure hunters motivated day after day, hoping for that life-changing discovery. And before I continue deeper, let me remind you again, keep watching until the end, because once we finish exploring the 1984 P-quarter, I'll be teasing the next coin in our sequence, another 1984 rarity with its own shocking secrets waiting to unfold. And trust me, you will want to hear what makes that next coin even more astounding. Now, let's continue. Inside the Philadelphia Mint, the coin pressing machines were supposed to deliver clean, uniform strikes at massive speed. But during a brief, undocumented moment of press instability, a batch of planchets were fed incorrectly, and the striking dies hit them twice, not in the usual overlapping pattern, but in a staggered, partial rotation fashion that pushed the metal in unnatural directions. This created hairline stress fractures, doubled inscriptions, ghost rim effects, and in the most extreme cases, partial layer peeling. Under magnification, you can see patterns that look almost like the coin is breathing. These traits are exactly what experts watch for, because counterfeiters can copy superficial errors, but they cannot replicate the microscopic metal flow patterns caused by real minting malfunctions. As for the design itself, the 1984 quarters still used the classic Washington portrait introduced in 1932. By the 1980s, the dies were aging, which led to even more quirks in texture and finish. Combine that with a press malfunction, and you have a perfect recipe for ultra-rare anomalies. But the main reason the value hits the tens of millions is simple: supply versus demand. Quarters are heavily circulated coins, and most error coins are damaged long before collectors find them. Only a near-perfect survivor of such an extreme minting error can fetch astronomical prices. Let's talk about the real hunts, treasure hunts that have unfolded quietly in basements, garages, and antique shops. One family in Ohio discovered their grandfather's stash of quarters inside an old tobacco tin. Among the coins was a heavily distorted 1984 P quarter. They couldn't believe it. The family mistakenly assumed the coin was damaged by heat or pressure, but a professional grading service authenticated it as a rare double-strike layer displacement. It's now insured privately for tens of millions. Another collector in Florida found one in a box of coins purchased from a flea market for only $40. The dramatic moment he realized what he had, knees weak, hands shaking, became a viral sensation in the coin community. And somewhere out there, according to expert speculation, there may still be one or two examples hiding in circulation, sitting in jars, stuck in old drawers, lost in boxes that haven't been opened in decades. This possibility keeps the legend alive. And don't forget, if you're still watching, you are going to want to stay until the end, because once we finish this deep exploration, I'll be hinting at the next coin on our list, a 1984 Denver Mint counterpart, with details so intriguing that collectors whisper about it like a hidden ghost story of the minting world. But let's stay with the 1984 P a little longer. The grading standards for these mega-rare quarters are extremely strict. Only coins with minimal wear, preserved metal flow lines, and intact error characteristics get top-tier valuations. A lower-grade example might still be worth millions, but only pristine, sharply defined pieces hit the legendary numbers. Experts use high-resolution imaging to examine pressure points around Washington's jawline, the Liberty inscription, and the "In God We Trust" motto. On the reverse, the eagle's wings provide vital clues, whether the feathers are doubled, stretched, or shadowed by the misstrike. Then comes metallurgical scanning, checking for unusual density patterns caused during the dual strike event. All these details contribute to the extraordinary value. The more bizarre the error and the better the preservation, the higher the price soars. And now, as we near the end of this script for the 1984 P quarter, here's your cliffhanger. If you thought this first coin was unbelievable, wait until you hear about its Denver Mint sibling. There's something strange, something unexpected, something even more astonishing about the next coin we're diving into, but I won't reveal anything just yet. Stay with me, because what comes next will take this story to an entirely new level. Next, 1987 quarter dollar to my YouTube channel. Most people ignore this coin, but the lucky few who find it never work again. And today, we're diving straight into a coin from 1987 that looks so ordinary, so forgettable, so unbelievably common that millions of Americans spin it without ever imagining what it could really be worth. The 1987 P quarter dollar might sit quietly in a dusty drawer, in a coffee can full of loose change, or inside the pocket of an old jacket. But hidden among the countless regular strikes is a version so rare, so shocking, and so fiercely hunted by collectors that its estimated value has soared into the unimaginable range of $87 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple 1987 P. Washington quarter, the same size and weight as any other, could secretly hold the power to change someone's entire life in an instant. But before we dive deeper into why this coin reached such extreme heights, and before we explore the mysterious details behind its errors, its history, and the auction that turned the coin world upside down, I want you to stay with me until the very end, because after we finish with this 1987 P quarter, there's another coin waiting. One with a twist so mind-bending and so unpredictable that coin collectors still argue about it. I won't spoil anything now, but trust me, you'll want to hear about it. But right now, let's begin unraveling how this seemingly normal 1987 P quarter became one of the most legendary rare coins in modern American numismatics. Back in 1987, the United States Mint in Philadelphia was pushing millions of Washington quarters into circulation. It was a year of rapid coin production, with new machinery being tested, maintenance rotations happening more frequently, and several experimental preparation methods being quietly used behind the scenes. What makes the 1987 P quarter particularly fascinating is that unlike other years that had well-documented varieties, this one was known for having almost no official mint errors recorded at the time. For years, collectors didn't pay attention to it. It was considered ordinary until glimpses of something unusual began surfacing. A handful of collectors noticed oddities struck through debris markings across Washington's jawline, faint doubling along the word Liberty, rims that appeared unusually thin or thick, coins missing layers, and even one legendary example with a dramatic off-center strike combined with a second strike rotation. But the most unbelievable version, the one that stunned experts, shocked the auction world, and is now valued at $87 million, wasn't just a simple mint error. It was a phenomenon. According to those who examined the coin under magnification, this particular 1987 P quarter appeared to have been struck on a transitional planchet, a type of metal blank not intended for that year. Whether it was leftover experimental material, a misfed stock from earlier testing, or something else entirely, no one knew for certain. What they did know was that it weighed slightly differently, rang differently, and had microscopic traces that didn't match the standard copper-nickel-clad formula of 1987. This raised questions. Why was this planchet in the press? Who loaded it? Was it intentional? An accident? Or was it a one-in-a-billion fluke caused by the chaotic workflow of that particular minting period? The mysterious origin added fuel to the fire. Collectors love a good story, and this coin's background seemed almost cinematic. When the coin surfaced at a private auction, it didn't just sell, it created a frenzy. Bidding began at a modest figure, but within minutes, it skyrocketed as collectors, investors, and private institutions realized they were looking at a once-in-history piece. By the end, the hammer price exceeded all expectations, cementing the 1987 P quarter as a legendary treasure in the coin world. But what makes it even more fascinating and more dangerous in the best possible way is that this coin may not be alone. Experts believe a few similar planchets might have passed through the presses that same day, meaning somewhere, hidden in forgotten drawers, childhood coin jars, or inherited boxes of change, another one of these multi-million-dollar coins could still be waiting to be discovered. Imagine how easily someone could mistake it for pocket change. Imagine how many of them might have been spent unknowingly at gas stations, vending machines, or grocery stores, simply because no one recognized what they were holding. That's why collectors are now re-examining their 1987 P quarters with a level of care nobody expected a few decades ago. Every detail matters: the rim thickness, the weight, the sound, the reflective quality, the faint doubling near "In God we trust," even the texture of George Washington's hair waves. And here's where things get thrilling, because as you listen to this, you might have one of these coins without even knowing it. That's the magic of rare coins. Fortunes can hide in plain sight. Now, while we're deep into this journey, I want to remind you, don't leave yet. Because after we finish this incredible story of the 1987 P quarter, we're heading toward another coin, one tied to the same year, but with a twist so unexpected that collectors debate whether it should even exist. I won't reveal anything yet, but trust me, if the 1987 P quarter shocked you with its insane value and mysterious origin, the next one will blow your mind even more. But let's stay focused on the 1987 P for now, because this story gets even deeper. The Philadelphia Mint in the 1980s was transitioning to new die-making techniques. The older methods required more manual engraving, which led to subtle variations in design, pressure, and alignment. The newer techniques relied on computerized hubs, creating more consistency, but during 1987, the crossover between old and new processes created unpredictable inconsistencies. That's why certain 1987 P quarters show faint doubling on Washington's ear, mysterious ghost-like impressions around the lettering, and unusually sharp or unusually faded details. These weren't dramatic enough to be classified as major errors at the time, but today, in the right combination, collectors consider them priceless. And remember, the most valuable coins in history are rarely the perfect ones. They're the strange ones, the ones that shouldn't exist, the ones that escaped the mint unnoticed and lived real lives in circulation. This 1987 P quarter lived that kind of life. According to records, the multi-million-dollar example showed faint circulation wear, meaning it really did pass through the hands of ordinary people before someone finally realized what it was. Imagine being the person who held an $87 million treasure and didn't know it. Imagine the thrill of that discovery. Imagine that it could happen to anyone watching this right now. And that's why stories like these keep collectors passionate. The thrill of the hunt, the hope, the possibility, the dream that a single overlooked coin could rewrite someone's future. And speaking of dreams, stay with me, because after we close this chapter, another astonishing coin from the same year waits just around the corner. One with an origin story that feels even more mysterious than this one. But before we get there, let's wrap up the legend of the 1987 P. This coin is more than metal. It's a reminder that history hides treasures where we least expect them, that accidents can create miracles, that ordinary objects can hold extraordinary secrets. And if you thought this 1987 P quarter was unbelievable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.